things. So I'll see if, would you guys like to see some of the cats up close? This here is my friend Bat. Take a look, Bat. Bat is a rescue cat. All 4 of mine actually are. They were adopted from the Humane Society, and our cat dog was actually her mom was a stray. I love giving cats a comfortable, safe, and loving home. So if you love cats, you're probably going to see several of them during this live session. All right, go ahead, and if you have a question and you didn't pre-send in your questions a day ahead, feel free to type your students' questions into the chat window. It should be on the side for live chat. If your school's technology capabilities allow you to do live chat on YouTube, go ahead and type those questions there, and I will answer some of those questions live. And then I also answered some of your questions in my YouTube live video earlier today. We had to change links. I'm not exactly sure why. We had some Lancaster Elementary in El Paso, Texas, Buffalo, New York. Wow. Yes, we have snow. All right. I'm going to start here by going through some of the questions in the chat just because they're going to scroll up faster than I can read. But hello, everyone, and happy World Read Aloud Day. If you're having a great day, students, please clap right now and cheer for reading. I love reading. Excellent job, guys. My name is Miranda Paul, and I'm the author of 14, soon to be 15, picture books for kids. I love what I do, and one of my favorite parts of what I do is reading out loud and sharing what I do with kids. And I'm very excited to get your questions today because when I was your age, I never got the chance to meet an author. We never had one visit our school. Skype wasn't invented yet, neither were iPhones or iPads. And so we just didn't have the chance to connect, and I didn't know that was a real job that someone could do. So I'm really excited to be able to answer some of your questions. So I'm going to do some lightning round questions right now, and I'm going to answer some of them that I see in the chat. From Carson School in Pensacola, New Jersey, they ask, what are your cats' names? I have 4 cats. You've seen a couple of them if you've been on the stream for a while. My cats are Nico, Bat, Stormy Patience, and Doggy. So yes, I have a cat named Dog and a cat named Bat, and they're all rescue cats. We also have a question from Triangle School in Hillsborough, New Jersey, and that question is, one of our teachers has a son who spent several months in the Gambia, and we were wondering when you had a chance to visit the Gambia. Now, I've gotten the privilege of being able to visit Gambia 5 times. The first time that I visited Gambia, Africa, which is where Aissatou Cisse lives, she is the subject of One Plastic Bag. I was a teacher there, and that was first in 2003. So that was a long time ago, probably before any of the students watching this were ever born. But in 2003, I was a teacher, and every day while I was teaching, I would walk along streets, and on the street, there was a lot of rubbish, a lot of trash, and a lot of it was plastic bags. And I thought the problem was so big, nobody could do anything to fix it. Until one day, another teacher handed me one of these. Do you see this? This purse is actually made out of recycled plastic bags. I mean, it's pretty, isn't it? You would not think it was trash. Look, here's another one. They're really great. And that sparked the idea of One Plastic Bag in me. So 2003 was the first time. I went back in 2004. I went back in 2007, 2008, and 2012. And I think that's all the times that I've been to Gambia. So lots of times. So great question. And I wonder if I ever met maybe one of your teacher's sons. We answered the cats' names. Someone asked, what was the first book I ever wrote? This is Nolan from PES in Southbury, Connecticut. The first book that I ever wrote was called The Day the Denmark State Bank Got Robbed. I was 8 years old, and I wrote it for class. Miss Harrison, that was her name at the time. Miss Harrison gave us this assignment to write and illustrate a book, and it was about a guy who robbed a bank and got caught. So I think I've gotten a lot better at making plots, even mysterious ones. Since then, here's an example of one book that has been very popular on Read Aloud Day, The Great Pasta Escape, which is about a ragtag group of characters who all have very different personalities. So if you want to see how much better I've gotten at writing since that first one that I tried to write and be a little bit funny, you could check out The Great Pasta Escape, which is written by me and illustrated by Javier Joaquin. Now that we've got 54 schools watching right now, I'm very excited about that. We've got schools from multiple countries here, and I'm excited about that as well. So let's go ahead and do a read aloud. Clap if you want to read aloud. I'm very excited for what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to read from 2 books today. One of the books, a lot of my 8 o'clockers didn't get to see. If you watched the video, you got to see a little bit of this. But this, it doesn't look like much, but it is a book that is in progress. It's almost finished, and it comes out in just a couple of months. It's called Speak Up. And it is about the fact that one voice, a quiet voice or a loud voice, can make a difference, small or big. And I wrote Speak Up because when I was younger, sometimes I was very shy or reluctant to talk to grown-ups. I would feel like I was going to cry or that I had a lump in my throat, even when I had to talk to big people. And the first time I was supposed to perform in a talent show, I didn't perform. I ran away and said, I'm not going to do it. And I didn't go on stage because I was afraid. I understand for a lot of kids that using your voice can be a scary thing. It can also be confusing when you're not sure when to speak up and when to just stay quiet. So I wrote a book that addresses a lot of these different issues and topics in a very fun way. And Ebony Glenn made beautiful art that I think just shows how easy and simple it can be to speak up in ways that we might not have ever thought of being important. So I'm just going to read to you a few pages. And the reason this book looks so cobbled together is because this is actually made from proofs. They're printed copies of sort of a rough draft, almost final draft of the book, because this is not a book you can actually find yet in stores. So this is a sneak preview. All right, Speak Up begins like this. There are times we should be quiet. There are days for letting go. But when matters seem important, speak up, let others know. With so many ways to speak up, like a sign, a smile, a shout, if we could make things better, why not let our words come out? And now here are some ways that you can speak up. When you're being introduced and they get your name all wrong, speak up, say your name. You are you and you belong. If you've ever had this happen to you when someone has mispronounced your name, it can feel a little bit embarrassing or deflating. And sometimes you don't want to speak up because you feel like it might be rude. But let me tell you something, it's not rude. Your name is important and it's part of who you are. So speak up and tell people how to pronounce your name. You might have to be patient because they might not have heard your name before. And I've certainly pronounced people's names wrong. I used to be a teacher, and it happened when I substituted, especially, and I'd meet new kids for the first time. But it is not rude to tell someone how to pronounce your name and to keep telling them how to pronounce it if they keep pronouncing it wrong. I just got called Miranda yesterday, and I get called Amanda a lot, so I know how it feels. When someone spreads a rumor and you're sure it isn't true, speak up, state the facts. Truth can open up our view. Now take a look at these pictures. What do you think the rumor is that some of the kids are spreading about the boy with the blonde hair? You might think it's funny what they're trying to say, but the kid up here, he saw what really happened. And so he's going to speak up and tell them what really happened. It's very important that we use our voices to help others, not to get others in trouble or to make others feel bad. Now, sometimes we're not sure if we should speak up or not. And one of the reasons that I wrote this book was because something happened to my son when he faced a choice. Should he stay quiet because his friend might get in trouble, or should he speak up? So let me tell you a little story and then show you a page of the book that was inspired by my son. A couple of years ago, my son learned that one of his friends brought a weapon to school and that maybe he was going to use that weapon to hurt other students. So my son was faced with telling on the other child or possibly not saying anything, but maybe someone would get hurt. My son chose to tell the teacher that he had heard that there was a weapon in this kid's locker. And sure enough, the teacher was able to find that weapon and keep everybody safe because my son spoke up and told the teacher. That's one of those instances where people could have gotten hurt, but speaking up, one voice kept everyone safe that day. I'm very proud of my son, and I know how difficult that decision can be. So this page is written for him. When you know a scary secret about someone getting hurt, speak up, tell a grown-up. Courage sometimes means you blurt. And I know blurting on your friends doesn't always feel like the right thing to do, but in some cases like that, it is. Now, in the end of Speak Up, you can see there's lots of information and lots of faces. Here you'll see some faces of real kids who spoke up. Did you know that the friendship bench and the buddy bench were invented by kids? Did you know that kids speak up all the time about different issues? Now, if you're wondering when should you be quiet and when should you speak up, there's actually a chart in the back of this book that gives you some ideas of the situations that would be worth letting go and the ones that are worth speaking up. And for those of you who are shy, like I was as a kid, I've got a whole bunch of suggestions for things that you can try without even saying a word. So you can make a difference or a positive change too, even if you're too shy sometimes to speak up. So that's a little bit of a sneak peek of my new book, Speak Up. I promise you, if you pre-order it or buy it, it won't come like this. It'll come as an actual hardcover book. So very soon, but that's also already available that you can order for your schools. Now, another book that kids really love me to do read aloud of is Whose Hands Are These? So if you like to play games, this book looks like a book and smells like a book. Yep, it smells like a book. But it's not a book, it's a game. So I have another video on YouTube just for World Read Aloud Day where I recorded it live today of me reading some of the riddles in this book, and you have to shout out and guess. So make sure you check out the other videos on YouTube after our live session here, and I will definitely entertain you and your classrooms as you try to guess the riddles in Whose Hands Are These? Now, the other book that I wanted to read, because it came by such popular requests from all of you who are attending this afternoon session, was Little Libraries, Big Heroes. There were so many of you who talked about the fact that you have a little free library or you're building one near or at your school. Little free libraries are these book boxes. If you have a little free library, will you raise your hand right now? Or if you've seen one, go ahead and raise your hand. I bet a lot of you right now are raising your hand. This is remarkable. So Todd Bowl and Rick Brooks had an idea, and that idea has now spread around the world. And I want to read a few pages from Little Libraries, Big Heroes for you, because this is a very inspiring story. You can see my copy here is signed by illustrator John Para. He made real paintings. All of these that you see, they're actual paintings, and I got to see those paintings, and they're beautiful. So make sure you always check out the art. You ready for story time, boys? Here we go. For thousands of years, people have loved stories about heroes, mythical heroes, historical heroes, and even ordinary heroes. Like this guy, Todd. Pretty ordinary, right? Here's Kid Todd pretending to be a superhero. In school, he didn't feel heroic. Even though his mother had been a teacher who loved books, reading was difficult for him. He was often scolded, and he was told he wasn't a good student. Todd's mom disagreed. She told him he was gifted and had something big to offer the world. You could do anything, she said. He hoped she was right. Todd studied hard, graduated from school, and got a job. At work, Todd discovered that he liked helping others. But then his mother died, and he became the one who needed help to get through sad times. He missed her terribly. Memories of his mom teaching neighborhood kids how to read gave Todd an idea. He cut up an old door and hammered the pieces together to make a tiny one-room schoolhouse. He stacked books inside, nailed a sign on the front, and placed the little library on his lawn. Now he could share his mother's love of reading with anyone who passed by. There was just one problem. Very few people passed by. As you go through this book, you're going to see how did Todd get other people to notice his creation. And then when he met his friend Rick and they wanted to try to spread this creation around the world, you'll see a little bit about the big ideas they had, but you'll also see about all the work that they had to do. And then you'll also see a little bit about how they failed. And so people didn't come get the libraries. In fact, the first year that they did this, only one person bought a library for the whole year. So they had to bring libraries out to the people and plant them so the idea could grow and grow. And then it started spreading around the world. This is one of my favorite stories. This is a story about a girl named Nikki. And she was living in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, which took a long time to rebuild from. In fact, some things still have never been rebuilt from Hurricane Katrina. And she was 6 years old when she decided to collect nearly 2,000 books. And she wrote to Todd and Rick to get her own little free library, and they gave her one. And so I got to see that library in New Orleans some time ago. You'll see that by the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso, Texas, you'll see where the first little free library in Texas was put. And then with students' help, that expanded to more than 50 locations in the city. And also in Western Uganda, you'll see where volunteers put in a little free library near a refugee camp. And for some people who didn't have a lot of things, they had to leave a lot of their things behind. Some of them learned to read from the books that were there. So you'll see story after story, country after country. And then at the end, it doesn't end with, and that's what happened. It ends with a question. The question is, who knows what will happen tomorrow? Tomorrow might bring another hero story written by you and shared with the whole wide book-loving world. And that's why this is one of my favorite stories, because Todd wanted to inspire other people to follow their passion. And this book is written in the same spirit of the fact that many stewards of little free libraries around the world are kids, and many little free libraries are at schools. And you have the power to change a community or to make a difference in your local area as well as the world. So I wanted to make sure that the book ended with a spotlight on you, the students. Now we've got some more questions that I want to make sure that I get to. There's so many in the chat window that I don't even know where to start. But one question here from first graders at PES in Southbury said, what books did you love when you were in first grade? When I was in first grade, I loved this book called The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. I don't know if any of you ever read it. It has just black and white illustrations. But when I was in first grade, in kindergarten, I really loved that book. I love reading a couple books to first graders now. One is by Jacqueline Woodson, and it's called The Other Side. It's one of my very favorite picture books that I like reading now. I'm going to scroll here, and we've got a question from Carrie Radke. Says, can you speak Creole like your husband? I can speak some Creole, but I cannot speak it fluently like my husband, who was born and raised speaking it. But I can say some things he would like to say. He always says "sakafet," which is like "what's up" or "how's it going?" And I love little words in Creole that we don't have words for in English. For example, in Creole, you have the word "palang," which means the little hairs on the back of your neck. And so if for those of you who don't know, my husband is author Baptiste Paul. He's the author of The Field, which has English and Creole. So if you're from Haiti or one of the other islands where people speak Creole, you'll see some of those words in this book. And he's doing World Read Aloud Skypes with schools right now. Otherwise, he would be on with me. I'm going to go to a couple more questions here. I want to make sure that I hit all of the schools who have asked them in the chat. We've got another question. How many books have you written? I think I said it at the beginning, but in case I didn't, 14, and Speak Up Coming is number 15. And then, what is your funniest book? I don't even know if I have it down here. Let me see if I've got it. This is what kids deem my funniest book, okay? Not what I do. They think Blobfish Serves a Party is my funniest book. The Great Pasta Escape usually gets first or second place. And then at some schools, they think Are We Pairs Yet is my funniest book. All right, we've got questions about my inspiration, like who inspires me, what inspires me. There's probably about 10 different kids from all these different states that ask me what or who inspires me. So I'm often inspired by real people. Farmer Tonto Nforba from Cameroon, Africa, he inspires me. He brings clean water to villages and places in rural, the northwestern rural regions of Cameroon. So I'm very often inspired by real people, and mostly they're people I've met. So Isatu Cisse is someone I've met, Tonto is someone I've met, Todd Bull, Rick Brooks, I've met, and then also many of the kids from Adventures to School. I got to talk with some of them on the phone. Some of them sent videos, and some of them we talked through a translator or through a teacher sending the stories. So real life stories inspire me a lot, even for my fiction books. So when you wonder like how I got inspired, it's usually by reading an amazing story, and I just want everyone else to know about it because it's so incredible, or there's something amazing about it. My teachers also inspired me. So actually I was Skyping with a school just a little bit ago, and they said, you know, how and why did you make your first book? And I made my first book in second grade because of a homework assignment. And the thing about it is I realize now that a lot of the homework assignments I got ended up giving me the skills and leading me to become an author. So I know sometimes probably those of you watching, students, you probably grumble about homework, but really I got lots of skills from learning art and learning how to write and learning how to read at schools. So that is one of the best things. Now I see that it's 1 o'clock. So officially I know some of you will probably have to say goodbye. So if that's you, I'm gonna say goodbye to you. But I also wanna have maybe one of my cats say goodbye. Let's have Stormy say goodbye. Bye. Bye. So there's Stormy just sitting in the window. So bye for those of you who have to go. I hope you have a happy World Read Aloud Day. And I just want to remind all the teachers watching that if you go to mirandapaul.com, there is a section specifically for teacher resources. So I've got worksheets, I've got vocabulary quizzes, games, videos, all kinds of things, even lesson plans that go along with my books to make your job easier. I used to be a teacher, and so I know how little time you have. I thank you for coming and joining my live World Read Aloud Day stream today, and I hope that you'll utilize those resources and that you find them helpful in your busy classrooms. So thank you everybody who stayed to watch. I'll stay on and try to answer a few more questions just because I see there's so many of them. I'll stay on for about 5 more minutes, and then I'll have to go. But I will be recording one more video at least on my YouTube channel. So in case you missed this morning's live session or you didn't see your question asked, I do have 2 live videos that I've already uploaded to my YouTube channel, and I'll be uploading one more after this. So thank you so much for joining. mirandapaul.com if you want to find out more information about me or my books or the teacher resources, or how to have me come visit your school, because I'll sing and dance and we'll play games and it'll be really fun. Okay, a couple more questions because there's so many in the chat. Do I have any kids and what are their names? Yes, I have 2 children. Their names are Soleil and Amani. And then, do I use anything to help me write my books? Absolutely. Notebooks. I use so many notebooks. I know, it seems like it should be high tech, but notebooks help. I got my start in writing poetry and also writing for newspapers and magazines, and sometimes I couldn't bring a computer with me, so I do a lot of handwriting. That is one of the tools that I use to write my books. Let's see here. How long have I been an author? I've been getting paid to do it writing for about 10 years, but I've been writing for a lot longer than that. My favorite book of all time for the 5th graders at Wellwood Middle School, my favorite book is The Giver by Lois Lowry. That's my all-time favorite book. I read it when I was in 5th grade, actually. It came out at the end of my 5th grade year. Let's see here. When did I become interested in reading and writing? I started reading at age 4. I don't know how I learned to read, but that's when I became interested, and I started writing at age 8. And probably because of teachers. Let's see here. I want to try to make sure that I get someone from every state here. Let's see, we've got one from Floresville, Texas. How do you make a book and make people like it? Wow, Actually, I don't make the books myself. The publishing companies have giant printers, and they put the book together. So all I have to do is write the words, and then they find the illustrator and they print it out, and they assemble the books. And how do I get people to like my books? I have no idea. They seem to like them, so that's good. But I write them to try to just entertain. So like I write books that are games, or I write books that are funny. And I just hope that people like them. I try to revise them and revise them until they're better. All right, let's see here. Let's see, we've got a question. What kind of things are important to you? The environment is very important to me. People being treated equally is very important to me. And also, I like, well, okay, let's just be honest. I like snacks. That's important to me. It's important to eat. I try to eat healthy, but I do like snacks. I like to treat myself sometimes. All right, I'm going to try to get one more question, and then I'm going to go offline. But later today, I will record a Q&A session with more of your questions. Let's see here. Let's see. I've got a question here. Do I ever mess up when I'm writing? This is from Xander in 2nd grade. Xander, I'd like to tell you something very honest. Yes, I do mess up in my writing. You can see even when I'm drafting, I scribble things out all the time. But sometimes a book will get all the way to where it's being published and there's a mistake in it. Sometimes that mistake is my fault. Sometimes it's someone else's fault. Sometimes it's not really anybody's fault, but it is a mistake. And so that happens. And I've learned that it's important when you make a mistake to try and fix it if you can. And if you can't, maybe figure out how you can do something better the next time. So that has happened to me before. So if you mess up when you're writing, don't worry about it. All writers do. We revise and we revise and we redo things. I have a book here that I revised about 100 times. It's called Water is Water, and it's only 147 words. So to redo it 100 times seems like such a lot. All right, guys, we're going to be getting going here today, but remember, mirandapaul.com has teacher resources, how to book me for a school visit. There's all kinds of things that you can look at if you want to do a report. I've got 11 fun facts about me if you haven't done it. And then check my YouTube page later because I will be making a video of Q&A. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. Happy World Read Aloud Day. Bye-bye. So good to see you all. Bye.